Well, I'm at the University Museum at the building that's called Fainer. I have an art show here, and we're going to go in and look at it. This is an oriental rug. It's a prayer rug that I cut up and reassembled on a piece of wood. I really didn't know what my intention was when I started doing this. I was just compelled to do it. What I wanted to do really was just paint on the surface of the rug, a handmade rug, and use it for a painting surface. And instead, I had this old prayer rug that had a hole in it, so I thought, well, I would just cut it up and make some kind of piece of art with it. None of it was planned, and it was all spontaneous. I was kind of apprehensive about doing this because I was afraid that it might be seen as not respecting the Islamic religion, and I thought about not displaying it, but I decided I'd just put it up and see what happens. There's a photograph of my dad in here. That you can't hardly see. And there are details. There are pills. And some of the paint's put on so heavy that this is the rug the way it looked with the knots, and so but this one here is the same thing, but I just heavily painted over all that. And with all these paintings, I did the framing and all the stretching of the canvases and preparation of the boards. This is called fissure. It's because of this blue line that goes down the middle of it. It looked like a crack in the earth. A lot of these paintings have to do with the earth falling apart, the last days, destruction, deterioration. This is a set of paintings that I did. I did both of these pretty much at the same time, just put them side by side and painted them. I didn't really have much idea of what they were going to turn out. I just wanted to be spontaneous, and I like them. Now this painting here is called Life Forms, and it is almost kind of ghostly figure things that you see there. Someone else asked about that, and I told them what I did was, when the paint was wet, that I actually put paint on my body and pushed it up against the surface of the canvas, and it left some impressions. This is one of the earlier pieces I did. I probably did this about 1.5 years ago, and I don't really have much to say about it. I really didn't have much control over the thing. I just started doing it, and it just developed, and that's kind of the way I like things to go. It has spray paint, it has magic marker, it has tempera paint. It's titled Untitled number 4. This is Untitled number 5. It's the same thing. What I did with this is before I stretched the frame, before I stretched this on the canvas, I took it outside and an unstretched canvas, and I laid it on the ground and painted on it. It's heavily textured. It's been walked on. It's been laid in the gravel. There's little rocks on it. There's little pieces of sticks, rubbery. These two paintings here I did, there's a pond where I go fishing, and one night it was a full moon, and a couple days after that I went home and I had already prepared these two panels to paint on, and I laid them down kind of like the way they're hanging up and just started painting. I didn't really hardly have an idea that they were going to be what they were going to be. And then when I turned away and walked away and looked at it, I go, well, that looks like the pond where I fish. And it didn't take long to turn it into that. Now this, I worked on this for over a year off and on, not knowing what it was actually going to be or how it was going to turn out. And this is untitled. I usually don't title anything unless I, just don't make up a title. If I feel like there's something there that I can There's a lot of phallic symbols in my work, and I tried to hide them and disguise them, and this long thing here coming here, going down here and here was actually a large penis, and I tried to make it less obvious by putting more penises on it, I guess. And then there are faces. Faces always appear, and there are penis heads. I did a lot of work on this. This is one of the first ones I started. I probably worked more than a year off and on this. It's felt, and then I spray painted it with silver paint, and then I put yellow paint on it, and the yellow reacted to the silver, which I wanted it to do. And then I sprayed gold paint on it, outlined some things. It's very textured. When you get close up to it, it loses its actual color. Everything seems like with video cameras that are digital, everything turns kind of blue. And there's like a blue cast to everything. This is pretty much the correct color from here. This painting here is 4 foot square, so the rest of them are at least 4 foot square or taller. This is called Jean-Michel Basquiat. It was a piece of plywood that I was going to burn in a fire and was burning face down. This was the side of the wood that was burning, and I looked at it and I go, oh, that looks interesting. I'm going to pull that out of the fire and stop it burning. And it just kind of reminded me of Basquiat and his burning out. It's very highly textured because of all of this is burned wood. It was all black and charred, the whole thing was actually, and I painted on it. Painted lots of polyurethane on it, so that, because the burnt wood really soaked all that up. All of these paintings were made for this show. I came in about a year and a half ago and saw the space, and I thought, well, I would paint about 18 large paintings and they would fit into this space. So everything that I made was made for this space. I kind of want to combine weaving and painting. So this was my first attempt at that. It was, this part here was canvas, was an actual painting, and I cut it up and wove it into this. This is the second attempt at that. This is called Compassion. For a wedding present, I was planning to paint a portrait of these two guys here, but I was very dissatisfied with the outcome or working on it, and I got bored, and I knew I wasn't going to continue doing it, but I wanted to do something else with it, and this developed. So this is their wedding present, and they'll get it when the show is over. I wanted to do a canvas that wasn't rectangular or square, so I kept these boards. In a smaller slant, whatever you call it, and put them together. And this isn't perfectly round or symmetrical, but I don't think it had to be. It just had to be what it turned out to be, and this is what it turned out to be. I was pleased. It's painted on silk, and it's spray paint, acrylic, some glittery paint in places, magic marker. I like outlining things. That kind of comes from I love Oriental rugs. I'm a weaver, and I've woven several of them. And in the Oriental rugs, if you notice, the patterns are always outlined, so it makes them distinct. And I like the outlining. And it can become very compulsive, obsessive. For a long time, I've been wanting to do like a Last Supper or a crucifixion scene, mainly kind of a Last Supper, because we used to have a lot of dinner parties, and when people are around the long table, it always reminded me of the Last Supper, and I kind of wanted to transfer those people into a Last Supper scene, but I haven't done that yet so far. So I did this. This looks kind of I thought this at first was going to be a crucifixion thing, and it just wasn't speaking, to me as that. But it turned out to be more of a Madonna, Mary figure kind of appeared right here. So I don't acknowledge that in the title. I just called it Untitled Icon. Now, I've been known mainly in the area as a weaver. I was thinking, well, I'm having this art show, and I'm having all these paintings in it, and people around here, when they hear my name that know about art, usually think of weaving. So, at the end, about the last 3 months before the show, I thought, well, I'll see about doing Tapestry, since I'd had the paintings pretty much well done. So these are the two. I was planning on doing 3, but I just got 2 done. This is an abstract tapestry. I dyed all the yarn. A lot of it's hand spun. actually dyed all the yarn. I enjoyed doing it. You know, when you weave a tapestry, this was the actual side that I saw on the loom when I was weaving. This was actually the front. So this is what when I was weaving back and forth, this is what I saw. I would leave all the end threads on the front. So this is pretty much traditional tapestry where it's woven on its side. So instead of weaving it up and down like this, so it's really woven this way. So this is the end where I started. It would have been like that, and I went that way. But I was knowing that this was the back and that this would actually be the front. It has this line in it. It's kind of a folded line, and that bothers me a little bit. I can, it looks like it's where it's been folded, but it's kind of actually just the texture, the weight of the weaving. That could be pressed out. Ordinarily, I line the back of these and you wouldn't see the back, but I didn't have time really to do all that. But the curator just thought it wasn't necessary and that it would be good to expose the back side of it so people could see actually what was going on more. I thought it was a very good idea. And this is the other one I did. And this is not as successful, I don't think, as the other tapestry. It's kind of a pile of landscapes. It's my hand, I can't see my hand in my hand. So like from here to about right in here is one landscape, and then up here is another landscape, and then up there, and then so there's like 4 or 5 landscapes piled on top of each other. And I dyed all the yarn for this. And this is mohair. It's completely all mohair. And we can look at the back of it. So this was actually the front that I was seeing when I was weaving. And you can see where I stopped and left off and had to change colors and do different things. Yes, I dyed all this yarn. So all in all, I was really actually, when they got the paintings hung up, I was very proud of the show, and I thought it was very successful. I came in and picked out the space that I wanted. I could have any space I wanted, and I picked out this room, and I looked at it, and I thought, I need to paint about 18 large paintings, and what they were going to be at the time, I didn't know, but I had confidence in my ability, and the result of it is this show here. So I think that's all for now. About to trip over something. And this is the back of the front that says Richard Cox 2020. There wasn't anything on here, so one day before the show opened, I just came in with some black acrylic paint, and within 3 minutes, did that. So I was glad I had the opportunity to come in and film this today and share it with people that aren't able to see it, and you get a tour of it by the person that actually made the things. So that's all for now, and we'll talk later. Bye-bye.